Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the First Nation Housing Conference. Please welcome your host for today, Mr. Bruno D'Angelo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another chapter of our ongoing webinar series brought to you by the First Nations Housing Community. It's an association that's Canada-wide, started as a result of our presenting the First Nations Housing Conference for the last 23 years. And we are working towards building a network of organizations and people that are interested in bettering housing and First Nations housing and helping people build capacity, build skills, and build networks and relationships. Our housing conference, just a quick plug for that, is happening this year in Thunder Bay at the Valhalla Inn Hotel and Conference Center in Thunder Bay, February 24th to 26th. It's a 3-day event. If you haven't been to it before, it's all the rage. We hear everybody loves it, and it is a great event to attend. It has really brought information by First Nations for First Nations to the forefront. We've been doing for 23 years. We have an excellent trade show as a part of it that probably seats about, last year was our largest one with over 70 booths. We have a Builders Challenge, which is an interesting, fun, interactive experience as part of the trade show to really zone in on specific skills. I think this year, although it's still in the works, I can give you perhaps a bit of a insight that it might probably be about siding and all of the intricacy work that's involved in that. So it's a very neat information-packed 4 presentations during the trade show day that are fun and interesting, and people just have a great time at it. This year's event will feature youth from First Nation communities. Over 15 to 20 youth will be participating in the Builders Challenge, along with some of the old pros that do it every day for a living. So we encourage you to come and take that in. It's a really great thing. You can see past ones on our website. So take a look at First Nations Housing Community.com, and you can take a look at some of our past events, some of the past workshops, and just all that goes along with that. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is the First Nations Community Housing Awards and Innovation Awards. Those are happening also, and we have on our website, you can look up the awards program, and you can submit any innovative or interesting or anything that you're proud of, programs that have been completed within the last year, and you can submit them for recognition at the event, where we have a gala evening. We give out awards, we present some videos and information to everybody, and we have basically a good time and an inspiring time with others to hear right across the country some of the things that the interesting, innovating, and just grand things that are happening in First Nations in terms of housing construction and administration and leadership in that area. Today, we are going to get into our webinar series. The title of it is Hiring Licensed Electrical Contractors. We're very happy to have Derek Hertz here from the Electrical Safety Authority. Derek is a senior electrical inspector for Thunder Bay Superior North with over 31 years of experience in the industry. For the past 13 years, he's focused on inspecting projects and advancing electrical safety in Northern Ontario's remote Indigenous communities. Exactly what we're looking for, an expert in the field. Derek brings a wealth of practical knowledge and a deep commitment to ensuring safe, code-compliant electrical work that supports stronger and healthy communities. He's also going to be, or somebody from his organization is also going to be at the conference this year, and will be presenting at that event too. So he has been a regular contributor and has been just an all-around supporter of the First Nations Housing Conference and now community. And I'd just like to welcome Derek, and thank you for being here today, Derek. Take it away.
Thanks, Bruno. I appreciate the kind words and the introduction. Yeah, this afternoon we're going to speak a little bit about the Electrical Safety Authority and what it is that our organization does and how we can support safer, healthier communities. We'll also talk about, in specifics, one of our regulations, which is the contractor licensing regulation, which protects consumers and ultimately frontline users of electrical devices and installations. And so with that, we will get the presentation underway. If I could get you to just think about the
Derek,
way
excuse me, Derek.
Yes.
You just need to flip your display settings. We're seeing your notes. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
There we have it. If we could think about how we started our day today, if you just want to come on a little bit of a history tour with me, if you wouldn't mind for a moment. Probably we woke up this morning, we turned on the lights, probably rolled into the kitchen, turned on the coffee maker, made ourselves a cup of coffee. We turned on another light as we headed into the washroom to use the hair dryer, the hair straightener. Maybe turned on the television or the radio to catch up on the day's events. Some of us drove to work, likely in the dark. The path along the way was illuminated by our street lights. We waited our turn at the left turn signal, the traffic lights, and then we rolled into the office parking lot. So we stepped into our office, turned on our computers, we started our day. Some places, some offices, I'm sure there was renovations going on. Your day was disturbed first thing by the sound of construction workers and power tools. They're helping to make progress in the creation of new infrastructure. And all of these things along our way this morning were all made possible by electricity and the safe use of electricity. We didn't receive a shock. We didn't burn our fingers plugging in the coffee maker. We didn't get that shock from a light switch or the plug-in. It was all contained within the devices within which were constructed to contain it. The office building and construction site that we arrived at was vibrant, warm, and alive, and not at risk of fire. This is a result of the commitment of manufacturers and regulators to the safe use of electricity and electrical products. These regulations listed that you see on the screen here are how we achieve for the public that safe, carefree use of electricity. So the Ontario Electrical Safety Code is what our inspectors use. It's the book with the installation minimums that new construction and new electrical installations should meet when we turn over a building under final inspection to the owner of that facility. As we'll delve into a little bit further here shortly, licensing of electrical contractors and master electricians. Another regulation that lays out qualifications and requirements for master electricians and licensed contractors to meet, so that when you hire these people, you're ensured that they're capable, they're competent, and they're qualified to have your projects completed as they should be completed. As you look about your communities and you examine the hydro poles and the street lights, the Electrical Distribution Safety Regulation 2204 is what your local utility follows. And the Electrical Safety Authority audits your local utilities to ensure that those installations are safe and compliant and built to last a lifetime. And as we spoke of a little bit earlier, the product safety, the CSA marks and the ULC marks on your coffee maker, your hair dryer, your television, your electric range, or your electric furnace. All of these things are manufactured to ensure that they're reliable, they're safe, and they're not going to cause us any harm. So the ESA has a mandate, a mission, and a vision. And our mandate is to promote and undertake activities which enhance electrical public safety. When we speak at events like this and at the housing conference in February, we're really hoping to build relationships which welcome the public to further understand how to use electricity in the safest manner. We like to train electricians and licensed contractors in the latest code improvements, and the result of that is having the public have the safest possible and most reliable installation for a lifetime. This ultimately leads to improving electrical safety for the people of Ontario, which helps us accomplish our vision. which is in Ontario where people can live, work, and play safe from electrical harm. So the company itself, the Electrical Safety Authority, has approximately 300 inspectors across the province, and we conduct over 400,000 inspections a year. Our call center located in Cambridge, Ontario, receives over 500,000 calls per year. We are responsible for 25,000 licensed electrical contractors and master electricians, and we respond to over 400 product safety incidents annually. One of the first regulations from the previous slide was Regulation 16499, and this is the Ontario Electrical Safety Code. This is the rule book, if you will, for installations of electrical equipment. And within this book, you'll find that that the object of the code is defined as to establish a safety standard for the installation and maintenance of electrical equipment. In its preparation, consideration has been given to the prevention of fire and shock hazards, as well as proper maintenance and operation. So it's really the intention, by following the code and in making sure that your installation is installed and code compliant, that if you look after your installation as it's been designed and been installed, that this installation will last you a lifetime and cause no undue harm to anyone who's interacting with it. Also found within Section 2 of the code is reference to licensing of electrical contractors and master electricians, the Ontario Regulation 57005. This permits inspectors with ESA to hold accountable those who are found not in compliance. So people who want to pretend that they're electrical contractors but really aren't are now in contravention of the Ontario Electrical Safety Code, and inspectors and ultimately the Electrical Safety Authority directors can hold them accountable for working not without the proper licenses. What we quite frequently hear from people who are acting as contractors but aren't really contractors is, well, I don't need a permit, I don't need to follow the rules, I always follow the code anyways. And while they may think they're always following the code, when the code tells you that you need to be a contractor to actually engage in electrical work, right there, they're not following the code. Usually quickly following that statement, as the inspector goes through the work that's being done, we find more technical deficiencies and hazards that are left behind. And that's the real problem, is that people in the community and in the public that aren't aware of the hazards are now being put at risk by somebody who has chose to ignore the rules. So licensing of electrical contractors and master electricians. In Ontario, only electrical contractors licensed by ESA may do electrical work for hire. Obtaining a license is mandatory for all electrical contractors and master electricians. And in order to become licensed as a licensed electrical contractor, each applicant is screened to ensure that they meet the requirements of the Electricity Act. The screening includes ensuring that the applicant is, of course, of age or 18 years or older, that they are a master electrician or that the contractor employs a master electrician. They have an address in Ontario. They carry public liability insurance and property damage insurance of at least $2 million. They'd be registered with WSIB. They're up to date on filing all their taxes, and they're in good standing with the Electrical Safety Authority. So I know some people are wondering what's the big deal and the difference between licensed electrical contractors and someone who's just portraying themselves as a licensed electrical contractor. Licensed electrical contractors, legitimate ones, they understand that the work that they do is dangerous. And they understand that if they don't complete that task appropriately, they're leaving a hazard which puts you and potentially your loved ones at risk. The best way to ensure that your electrical work is safe and legal is to hire a licensed electrical contractor. They have the expertise, the proper equipment, and the training to ensure that they're going to accomplish your task and complete your job safely. We just rolled out the 29th edition of the Ontario Electrical Safety Code, and licensed electrical contractors are in the process now of educating themselves on the new requirements of the code. And while not all the changes are applicable for every installation, each electrical installation can require specialized skill sets. As I'm sure some of you can appreciate, wiring a new water treatment plant has different requirements than wiring a new home or than wiring new lift stations or new generators. The areas of expertise in the electrical safety code are very different, as are the required installation practices. And so we want to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to upgrade their skills for whatever line of business that they choose to excel in. And we do so by ensuring that these master electricians and contractors are provided the opportunity for new training. Each licensed electrical contractor in the province must employ at least one designated master electrician. They could be required to employ more if their work is spread out across the province, as the master electrician is actually responsible to oversee the work that's being completed on each site, wherever their job sites are located. This master electrician, they complete an examination and upon successfully passing, receive their master electrician license. These individuals are broadly versed in the 9 competency categories that you see here on your screen, and they're expected to operate with the highest regard for public safety and professional standards. Those found in contempt of their licensing requirements may have the privilege of their license being removed. So you can see, first and foremost, we put health and safety at the top of the 9 categories of competencies. The last thing we need to see is somebody, whether it's the licensed master electrician, their staff, or the public, getting hurt. And the second competency that we look to is that Ontario Electrical Safety Code and the rules that govern their installations. And as we move through, their legal requirements for protection, the financials, as far as bidding practices and ethical billing practices. We roll through to management and administration of the staff and contracts. Just the general technical knowledge and skills, whether it's working at heights or whether it's confined space entry. There's more to these tasks, but the licensed electrical contractor, as each situation becomes different, needs to have their staff well versed in other areas of construction as well. There's advocacy, which comes into play when we need to do the job right and not cut the corners as far as what quality needs to be prevalent at the end of the job. And then your professionalism and ethics, of course. Nobody wants to deal with anyone who's unscrupulous. Licensed electrical contractors in the province understand the lines of communication and how important it is to quick and efficient service between required organizations like Electrical Safety Authority, the Inspection Department, and in some cases, it'll be Hydro One remote communities who provide the distribution service to your buildings. Each organization, Electrical Safety Authority and Hydro One remote communities, has a role to play at the beginning of every construction project to ensure that once your construction starts, your inspection takes place and that your layout is completed and that your customer agreements are completed with Hydro One remote communities. So when you're ready to have electrical service connected to your buildings, it can be done in a timely and efficient manner and you're not left waiting. That contractor being able to have those lines of communications between these two organizations has never been more important. With the installation of electric heat becoming more prevalent, these contractors will be able to recognize things like undersized service equipment, and they'll be able to use their training and experience to propose necessary solutions. This will prevent untimely and expensive electrical equipment failures. Licensed electrical contractors give you some options as far as choice as well. So if you're unsure in who you wish to hire, you can always ask them to provide you with references. And those references should instill confidence in you for the task that you're asking them to complete. Following up on previous jobs through those references, just a simple step of diligence, and you should be satisfied that whatever references you're asking for are relevant to your project, and that the completion on these other sites is going to be what you're going to have completed on your site, and it's going to be satisfactory. Most contractors are only too happy to provide their track record and timely completion of projects, meeting budget numbers, and coming up with sensible solutions to what inevitable snags you come up to on a construction site. Contractors will have lists of how they've addressed these types of snags and how they've come through on top if they're excellent, prominently recognized contractors. When a notification of electrical work is filed with ESA, we refer to the permit now as a notification of electrical work. Your licensed electrical contractor will call at different stages of the project for inspections of the work completed to that point. ESA will accept the installation or issue deficiencies that require connection prior to moving on in the project. At the end of the project, a final inspection and a certificate of acceptance will be issued to your contractor once the deficiencies have been cleaned up, if there were any to be addressed. Your licensed electrical contractor will provide you with that final certificate of acceptance upon you requesting it from them. So some tips that you can use to ensure that you're hiring a licensed electrical contractor. You can ask for their electrical contractor registration agency or ESA number. It proves they can operate their electrical contracting business in Ontario. You can look for the license number on their truck, on their business cards, and it has to be on their estimate sheets somewhere near the logo for their business. Licensed electrical contractors will not shy away from volunteering that certificate of acceptance when you ask for it. So if you're in the process of hiring somebody and one of the conditions is that you get a certificate of acceptance at the end of the job, and that contractor wants to shy away from that, that's a sign that maybe something's up and that they're not a legitimate contractor, and you should be doing more research into who they are and what projects they've done in the past. You should always ask for that certificate for any work that's been done and keep it for your records and insurance purposes. And if you're working with a general contractor, always ask the question that if the electrical contractor they're hiring is actually licensed in Ontario, and you can verify that yourself by looking up the contractor's name on our ESA Find a Contractor tool. From our website, there's a snip here. You can enter your location and your type of work, or you can enter your contractor's name. And if they're a licensed electrical contractor with ESA and with ECRA, their name will pop up on this tool, and you can rest assured that they've been through the training and the qualifications to do electrical work in the province. It's also of note that there are many Manitoba contractors who do operate in Ontario. They do have a business office address in Ontario, and you will find them listed on this contractor listing as well. I know I've run across several contractors in Northern Ontario from Manitoba, all of them very reputable and do a very good job, and you'll find them again listed in this contractor locator. So before I get to the questions, and I know I've spoke only about licensed electrical contractors and having them do your jobs for you. In certain communities that I travel to, they have community members doing the electrical work. And if you're asking yourself, well, are we breaking the law, or if that's okay to have the community members do the work? It absolutely is. The important part when the community members are doing the work to remember is that because they're from your community and they're working on your community buildings, that is okay. And we encourage that. I encourage that because now I have a member in the community who can, one, show me around, and two, we can work together to advance electrical safety at all times in the community. I don't have to worry about whether or not the contractor is there on site now, or if they've gone back to their home base, say in Winnipeg or in Thunder Bay. I travel to some of these communities. The community members are wiring the houses, and we're coaching them along, even with the new code training. And it's of a real benefit to have those individuals in your communities doing the work. And again, the important part here, as far as an electrical safety system, is that they're filing their application and notification of electrical work, and it's being inspected, and the process is moving as it's designed. So this is not to say you can't have community members doing the work in your own communities, but if you're going to hire the contractor, please try and remember to hire the reputable licensed electrical contractors with Electrical Safety Authority. Bruno, were there any questions?
Yeah, we've got one that just came in. Is the well, I'll just read it to you because I haven't got through it yet. It says that answers one of my big questions. We at KNETS hold native residential construction workers, and it has installation in the scope of work. Basically, we can do the work up to the point of inspections. I think they're just commenting on your last comment there. Yeah, is that right?
That sounded like it, yes.
Yeah. As far as other questions, I don't see anybody else have any questions that you want to type into the chat at this point. While I'm waiting, I just want to make people aware of the next couple of webinars that we have coming up. The next one will be Siva Apia on November 13th from ISC Ontario, talking about fire protection strategy funding and to make homes and to make homes on reserve safe. Next on December 4th, we'll have Tim Krug from the KI First Nation and part of one of the IFNA communities. And he's going to be talking about what are you building in your community. That sounds interesting. He's being very mysterious about what that's going to be covering. And of course, we're going to have Bailey on January 15th. We'll take a break for Christmas, and then there'll be a Bailey Waukee from the Aboriginal Housing Management Association. Will be talking about Indigenous youth strategies in those organizations. So, Derek, or did you have something more to bring up?
I did want to add that Electrical Safety Authority will have a booth at the trade show for the First Nations Housing Conference in February. And I would like to encourage everyone to stop by the booth, say hello. If any questions do pop up between now and then regarding hiring of contractors or electrical safety of installations, please make your way over to the booth and have a chat. We're only too happy to help everyone try and satisfy their concerns. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the conference. This will be probably my 6th or 7th one, and they've always been an enjoyable time.
I know your booth is one of the busier ones at the conference, and people enjoy having you and have a lot of questions. And maybe that one-on-one space inside the conference is a place where they can ask you even more pertinent questions. I want to thank you, Derek, for your taking the time out to not only come to the conference and have your booth there, but be here today with your webinar. That was very informative. Thank you very much. We had good comments from people, a good crowd that came in. So obviously a very topical session that people are interested in. And I wanted to just, as we exit, I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that you'll see a QR code and request for asking you to rate the survey or rate the webinar and give us more ideas for what you'd like to see in this work in this space as we continue on throughout the year. So you'll see a QR code, and there is a link on our website as well that you can go to if you missed that. And give us your comments, give us your feedback. I'm sure Derek, as well as all of us, want to know what you're thinking and what else the First Nations housing community can do for you in the future. With that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone for attending. Appreciate your time again, Derek. That really appreciate that you came through and your organization was here with us today. And to all of you out there that are taking part in this, tell your friends about the webinar series. Hope to see you next time as we come together again for our next session in our webinar series.